Myself Bency Wilson, Assistant Professor, Rajgiri School of Engineering and Technology. In this lecture, we are going to discuss the important topics such as functions, elements of a user-defined function, methods of calling a function. We are going to discuss our first topic, functions. Coming into functions, what is a function? A function is a group of statements that together perform a specific task. That is, every C program has at least one function, which is main, inside which we write all our codes. So, you can divide your code into separate functions, each performing a different logic and a specific task. The functions can be referred by different names, such as method, subroutine, or a procedure. For writing a function, first we need to understand the elements of a user-defined function. A function consists of a function declaration or a function prototype, a function definition, and a function call. Function declarations. A function declaration tells a compiler about a function name and how to call a function. The general syntax of a function declaration is return type followed by function name and parameter list inside the parenthesis. The return type specifies the data type of the value that the function returns. Some functions perform the desired operations without returning a value. In that case, the return type will be void. Next is the function name, which is the name of the function given by the user. Next is a parameter list. Parameter list refers to the type, order, and number of parameters of a function. And the parameter is like a placeholder. That is, when a function is invoked, you will pass a value to a parameter. This value is known as the actual parameter. So that is specified inside the parameter list. In the given example, it shows a function named max with return type as integer and two parameters, int num1 and int num2. The second example, again, it shows the same function without a parameter name. That means in function declaration, the name of the parameters are not important. Only the type is required. So we can define the function declaration in both manner. Function definition. A function definition in a C program consists of a function header and a function body. The function header contains the return type, the function name followed by the parameter list. The body of the function contains the statements that define what the function does. That is, it contains all the executable statements. We will define the function inside the function definition. The example shows the source code for a function called max. This function takes two parameters, num1 and num2, and returns the maximum value between the two parameters. Function call. To use a function, you will have to call that function to perform the defined task. To call a function, you simply need to pass the required parameters along with the function name. And if the function returns a value, then you can store the return value in a variable. The syntax of a function call is function name followed by the argument list. The given image shows how a function works in C program. A function is being called from the main function. At that time, the program control will be transferred to the called function. Here, the name of the called function is function name. So, inside the called function name, the defined task will be performed, and when it reaches the closing brace, the control will automatically transfer to the main program. In the given source code, we can see a function declaration, a function call, and a function definition. In the first line, the declaration of the function is given as int max, int num1, int num2, followed by the main function. Inside the main function, we can see the local variables are initialized, followed by a function called max a, b. At that time, the control of the function will be transferred to the function definition. Inside the function definition, it finds largest among the two numbers num1 and num2 and return the result. When the return statement is executed, the control will be directly transferred back to the main function, and the return result will be stored to a variable called ret inside the main function. Then the return value ret is displayed inside the main function itself. So the source code clearly shows the function declaration, the function call, and function definition of a user-defined function called max. Depending upon the presence of arguments and return values, the user-defined functions can be classified into 4 categories, which are shown here. The first category, function with no arguments and no return value. A function with no argument means the called function does not receive any data from the calling function. And the function with no return value means the calling function does not receive any data from the called function. That means there is no data transfer between the calling and the call function. The given example, when the function addition is being called, the control will transfer to the function definition of addition. Inside the function, two numbers are added and the result called sum is displayed inside the function itself. No value is returned back to the main function. Next is function with no arguments and one return value. As said earlier, the function with no arguments means the call function does not receive any data from the calling function. And function with one return value means one result will be sent back to the main function using the return statement. In the given example, inside the function multiplication, the multiplication of two numbers a and b are performed and the result is stored inside a variable called multi. When the return statement is executed, the result in multi will be passed to the main function and stored in another variable called multi and displayed inside the main function itself. So here the example shows a function without any actual arguments and returning a value. The third category is function with arguments and no return values. Here the function will accept data from the calling function as actual arguments. However, since there is no return type, nothing will be returned to the calling program. So, it's a one-way type communication. The given example, when the function is being called, we are passing two parameters a, b, which are known as the actual parameters, to the function definition. Inside the function, the addition of two numbers are being performed and the result is displayed inside the function itself. No result is sent back to the main function here. The last category is function with arguments and one return value. Here, the calling function and the called function will receive data from each other. It's like a dual communication. In the given example, when the function is being called, the actual parameters a, b are passed to the function definition. Inside the function definition, the multiplication of two numbers are performed, and instead of displaying the result there, the result is returned back to the main function using the keyword return, and the result is displayed inside the main function. Next, we will discuss the different methods of calling a function. Different methods are call by value and call by reference. Before going into call by value method, first we will see the difference between an actual parameter and a formal parameter. Actual parameters are the parameters that appear inside the function call, and the formal parameters are those that appear in the function declaration. In call by value method, the actual parameters are passed to the formal parameters. The values of the actual parameters are copied to the formal parameters. Thus, the operations performed on the formal parameters doesn't reflect in the actual parameter. The value of the actual parameter cannot be modified by the formal parameter. That means separate memory is allocated for both actual and the formal parameters in call by value method. This source code is an example of call by value method. This program is meant for swapping two variables. In the main program, the variables m and n are initialized with values 22 and 44 respectively. Then values are displayed before calling the function. So the values of m and n will be 22 and 44. Then the function swap is called, and the control is automatically transferred to the function swap. At that time, the values of m and n are copied to the variables a and b because it's a call by value method. Inside the function swap, a and b are swapped, so values of a and b are now changed to 44 and 22 after the swap operation. Then the control goes back to the main function. Again, the values of m and n are displayed, which are 22 and 44 itself. That is, the value of actual parameters m and n are not modified by the formal parameters a and b. The output for the program is given here. The values of actual parameters m and n are 22 and 44 before the swap operation. The values of the formal parameters a and b after swap is 44 and 22, which is displayed inside the function. The values of m and n are 22 and 44 itself after the swap. That is, those values are not modified. In this lecture, we have discussed about functions, the elements of a user-defined function, the various categories of a function, and the call by value method. Thank you.